Greetings, folks. Today is Monday, February the 25th, 2019. My name is Tom Lina-Weaver. Well, when I started this, way back when, what was it, September, October? Somewhere in that neighborhood. I first started it on MeWe. And then I found SoundCloud. Then I ran out of free space on SoundCloud, and I then started doing it on OneDrive. I kept on doing it on MeWe. So every one of my programs like this, you can find on MeWe somewhere. Every one of them. And there are some that are exclusive to MeWe, because I don't think that I should put them anywhere else. Eventually, I found a way to put things together on YouTube, and started calling it my commentary. And eventually, I start using the name Truth Matters, but there's another Truth Matters out there, and I'm having an active conscience here. It's already being used by somebody else, and maybe I shouldn't be using it. I don't know if they have it copyrighted, patented, or whatever, but I don't want to steal anybody else's thunder. And so I'm going to be stopped. There we go again. My tongue got in the way. I'm going to stop using the name Truth Matters. Now, here's the thing. I do believe that truth matters. And so I would like for you, YouTube has videos by another group that calls themselves Truth Matters. There's a website, Truth Matters. They're on Twitter. I don't know if they're on Facebook. I didn't even look. But there's this organization. They already call themselves Truth Matters, and I just got to a point where I thought, maybe I shouldn't be using that name, because somebody already is. Now, from the very beginning, it has been my intention to discuss politics from a constitutional perspective. Now, I've been using the name Constitutional Politics for quite some time. So I don't know if there's anybody else out there using the name, but I have not found anybody that's an organized, an organization using that name. I haven't found that. So I feel safe to call this my commentary. My commentary. I feel safe calling my commentary Constitutional Politics. It's always been my intention to discuss politics from a constitutional point of view. But as you know, I've been everywhere. We can talk about climate change from a constitutional point of view. Wouldn't that be interesting? Now, here's the thing. Why is the Constitution so important? Just about everybody in the country is ignoring it. And that's the problem. That's what we need to talk about. We need to talk about why are people ignoring the Constitution. When we say, let's get back to the Constitution, it seems to me that scares people. It's not scary at all. Without the Constitution, you can be forced to give your children vaccinations that you don't want to give them. Without the Constitution, you're going to have to give up your guns someday. Without the Constitution, you have no freedom. Just look at our government. They are ignoring the Constitution. When we have a president that takes an oath of office to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution, he's not doing that, folks. And we haven't had a president. I would say the last president we've had that even tried to keep his oath of office was Kennedy. I'm not saying he was perfect, but I really do believe it was his intention to keep his oath of office. We haven't had a president like that since. We have a Congress. The best Congress paid for by whoever. The best Congress money can buy. They don't care about the Constitution. They consistently pass laws that are unconstitutional. For example, the immigration laws that we're all arguing about wouldn't be a problem if Congress would not ignore the Constitution. Those immigration laws that we're bantering about, they are unconstitutional. All the gun control laws that we have anywhere in the United States, whether it's a federal gun control law or a state gun control law or a city gun control law like in Chicago, they are unconstitutional. The reason people are dying from mass gun, some idiot comes around and starts killing people and they kill 17, 20 people. Do you know why that is? Because those people are sitting duck because they do not have the right to have a gun in that venue. That's what's going on, folks. We have an unconstitutional government. They have bastardized our government. And I think it's high time we got back to the Constitution. It's not a bad word, folks. It's not. You will find you will have far more freedom. Like, for example, do you know you have the freedom to be homosexual? That's right. Because the Constitution doesn't say otherwise. Do you know the Constitution does not support Bibles in the school? Hey, you can't find it anywhere except for the First Amendment. But the First Amendment doesn't give freedom of speech, freedom of religion. It simply says Congress shall make no law. It is a limitation upon Congress. It is not a limitation upon states. It is not a limitation on people. If people in school boards say no Bible reading in the school, that's what they mean. And that's the way it should be. But if you don't like it, take your kid out of public school. Homeschool them. Put them in private school somewhere. So the Constitution does not protect your right to your so-called right to hand out Bibles in the school. It doesn't. That's why we have a 10th Amendment. The 10th Amendment basically says that what is not delegated to the United States, nor prohibited by it to the states, is reserved to the states or to the people. But our federal government has been stealing states' rights and state power for a long time. And it's time to hand that power and that responsibility back to the states. What about all the land? You know, if we were following the Constitution, do you remember the Bundy Ranch? Remember all those stories about them having to protect their land? Well, we have a government that's ignoring the Constitution. If we were following the Constitution, that would not happen. The federal government has no business owning any land unless they're using it for maybe a post office, a military base, or something like that. It is unconstitutional for these hoodlums to have land other than for those kinds of usages. So we need to talk about the Constitution. If you want your liberty, we must get back to the Constitution. Republicans and Democrats are ignoring the Constitution. Oh, some of them talk about the Constitution, but they don't really mean it, do they? Look at Nancy Pelosi. I don't know how many times I've heard her mention the Constitution, but she is not keeping her oath of office, is she? Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. This Green New Deal of hers is unconstitutional. Does that matter? And what about telling people what light bulbs to buy? Where does the Constitution say they can do that? And on we can go. We can point to one unconstitutional law after another. What about the Federal Communications Commission? That's my bailiwick. I'm a broadcaster. I've been a broadcaster. And so I care about the FCC. Well, the whole thing, the FCC is doing a whole bunch of unconstitutional stuff. For example, well, I mean, they have laws by Congress, but Congress is passing unconstitutional laws, making the FCC enforce them. The whole purpose of the FCC was, let's see, what was it called? The Federal Radio Telephone Commission, or whatever it was. Their whole purpose was to oversee and enforce treaties, communications treaties, which was basically control of AM radio. They have no authority over FM or television. None. They have no authority to regulate telephone service. So, based on the 10th Amendment, all of that is up to the states. Can you imagine the states having their own communications departments where you have to go to them for an FM channel? Or, you know, that's the way it should be. Based on the 10th Amendment. So the FCC is an unconstitutional organization. Now, what about Homeland Security? Do we not already have a Department of Defense? A Department of Defense is within the Constitution. So why must we have Homeland Security? What's their purpose? Except to control the American people. I mean, hey, it's that Homeland Security and the Patriot Act is causing you to go through what you have to do to fly. Forcing you to take your clothes off so they can strip search you? Folks, that's unconstitutional. So we have to get back to the Constitution. The Constitution is a libertarian document, and we must get back to it. If you want freedom, I think you should have freedom to smoke a joint if you want. The federal government has no business telling you anything like that. Now, the states, that's another issue. That's based on the state constitution. What does the state constitution say? But federally, this stupid drug war has to go. It's not working anyway. So we've got this government of ours is unconstitutional, and therefore they're a bunch of bastards. They have bastardized our government, and therefore they are bastards. They are frauds. They take an oath to support and defend the Constitution, but they don't do that. Just listen to them. Read the Constitution and compare what these politicians are saying, and see if it matches up. That's it for today. Thank you for listening.